A while ago, someone I know was deciding between upgrading her perfectly okay car or saving up for the down payment for a house. In the end, she chose the shiny new car. And when I asked her why, she said, "Well, everyone can see the car I drive, but hardly anyone ever comes to my house." And I think so many of us are guilty of that in one way or another. Take me for example. There was a time in my life where I kept shopping at Chanel and Louis Vuitton when I could have been investing in myself in so many ways. I think it's fair to say that collectively, we have now become a society where we like to spend money on the things that people can easily see on the outside, even though there are other things that we really should be prioritizing. To give you some examples, this could be someone buying luxury handbags when they are struggling to pay for rent, leasing a super luxury car when they don't actually have an emergency savings, or booking a really nice holiday when they are drowning in credit card debt. This is the paradox of our time, and there's a term for it. Luxury poverty. This is when people buy expensive luxury items when they are actually financially insecure. Put another way, is looking rich while being broke, and it's on the rise. But why has it become so common? In my case, social media played a major role in how I went down the spiral of overconsumption, especially when it comes to designer shopping. But I should point out that this was 12 years ago, and back then things were a little bit different. In 2025, I feel like we shouldn't overlook the fact that there is now a fundamental problem in our society. In the last decade, things like housing, education, and healthcare have become incredibly expensive. Not to mention, the job market is also fairly unstable. So when you put all these factors together, it's not hard to see why people struggle to see the future and that they just want to live for today. The logic is simple, right? When you cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel, you will turn to immediate gratifications to make your present moment more bearable and more enjoyable. So even if you cannot afford housing, no one can stop you from buying yourself a nice Starbucks coffee every day. You might not be able to retire early, so why not reward yourself with a nice luxury handbag? You might not be able to repay the entirety of your student loan, but at least you can enjoy the latest iPhone on the payment plan. And talking about payment plan, we now also have buy now, pay later. The whole idea is to make luxury feel affordable. In fact, that's how car payments work. You might not have $50,000 in cash right now, but if the salesperson says to you, the car is only $600 a month, you might think it's very manageable, even though you will likely end up paying way more than $50,000 in the end. And this now applies to so many small luxuries that we buy, whether if it's a laptop, a dress, or a handbag. And I think many of us turn to shopping because it gives us a sense of validation. When we bring home something new, we feel like we have achieved something. And I can really relate to this. The first few years after I started working, there was so much work commitment and financial responsibility. And I just couldn't see a way out. I thought I'll be working 6 days a week forever until I was 70. It was a future that I didn't feel excited about at all. So what did I do? I started buying luxury handbags to try to soothe myself. Very often, when work got so overwhelming and life was stressful, I'll run to a Chanel store where I was given the best customer service and all the attention. And if you looked at me, I might look like I was doing quite well, but in reality, I was just trying to survive today at the expense of my tomorrow. And I think luxury brands know that as well, and that's why there's a shift in the products they make. For example, we now see a lot of luxury houses offering a huge selection of entry-level pieces, such as key rings, belts, card holders, and wallets. These pieces are pricey but accessible enough for middle-class shoppers. Not to mention, they are also very effective in pulling people into the luxury shopping cycle. Think about it. If you go to a Louis Vuitton store, you might think twice about buying a high-ticket item, like a handbag that costs $4,000. But in comparison, that $500 card holder might seem like a bargain to you, and you're still getting the same dopamine and excitement that comes from buying yourself a Louis Vuitton. And that dopamine is what you need when you feel like your life is a mess and you just need a little pick-me-up. Ironically, however, for many of us, caving into this instant gratification only makes whatever situation that makes us miserable in the first place worse. If housing is expensive, buying yourself a nice watch will not make housing more affordable. If anything, it only further limits your choices for housing. Take me for example. When I was working myself to the ground, I wanted so badly for things to be different. There were so many days I would drive myself to work with so much palpitation because I dreaded the day ahead of me. I cannot tell you how many times I wished I could just quit my job. But when you are an adult, you have bills to pay and responsibilities to take care of. So it's not like I could just walk away from everything. But you know what? If I didn't rely on shopping for instant gratifications, I could have given myself more options much earlier. For example, I wouldn't have to work as hard and I could have given myself more time off to focus on my well-being and maybe even build a side hustle. But of course, when you're in the thick of it, it's hard to see the silver lining. And you might even feel like whatever you do right now is trivial and it won't make a difference. So why bother? I've spoken about this before, but having a long-term goal is so important. Even if it feels far-fetched or impossible, it will give you a direction to get to where you want to go. One of the biggest motivations for me to cut down on my spending was having the financial freedom to retire early. Even though it's a massive milestone, focusing on achieving the goal forced me to be realistic about my resources. I started spending very carefully because I know every pound or every dollar makes a difference. Year after year, that goal became more and more accomplishable, and that then motivated me to keep going. Along the way, I grew so much as a person as well. One of the changes that I've noticed about myself is that I don't feel envious anymore about the shiny things other people have because I know I'm working towards something that's really important to me. Along the same lines, I also try not to worry about impressing other people. To me, the most precious things in life are often those that you cannot see on the surface. For example, your freedom, your life experiences, the books you've read, the people you've helped, and even your bank account. I personally think luxury poverty is more common than we think. A lot of people are living a seemingly abundant life, driving the nicest cars and using the latest gadgets, when in reality, a lot of it is being financed on a payment plan. And when you design your whole lifestyle on the basis of a payment plan, you are probably 1 or 2 paychecks away from everything collapsing. Regardless of where you are in life right now, I really believe there's so much value in learning about minimalism. Now, I'm not a hardcore minimalist, but minimalism has changed the way I look at everything. You see, minimalism is not just about saving money. It's more about prioritizing what's important to you. Now, I've been working for quite some time now, so I'm fortunate that I'm more financially secure now than I was in my 20s. But even then, I actually spend less now than before, and I don't feel like I'm depriving myself. In the past, if I liked a luxury handbag and I had the money for it, I'll buy it. And I thought I was being nice to myself. Whereas now, I'll consider things like, well, when am I going to use this bag? Where will I keep it? Do I want to spend the time to care for it? Will it take up space unnecessarily? And can I see it as a part of my life in 5 years' time? So as you can see, I'm not just trying to be frugal, I also don't want to burden myself with a lot of clutter. The rule I go by now is, if I'm going to let something into my life, I want it to be something that can add values to myself one way or another. And I cannot stress how powerful and liberating it is to be able to define what's truly important to you and what enough looks like for you, especially in the society we live in right now. And that's it from me today. Thank you so much for being here. Take care and I will see you soon.